Marta Talaván, it's great to have you on the show. I've had your current partner, Ksenia Sharifova, who was wonderful. And she suggested I get you on too, because you are not only a professional, highly ranked paddle player, you're also a member of the board. So that's going to be really interesting to hear a little bit behind the scenes, as much as you're allowed to give us. But anyway, as I like to start, in your own words, who are you?
Hello, hello. Thanks for the opportunity. Xenia introduced me to you because she loved your interview, so I'm here.
Thank you. I'll try to do the same with you.
Yeah. Now, I'm Marta Talaván. I'm professional padel player. I played padel like for 20 years now, so
Wow.
it's all my life. All my life is around padel. All my family used to play, so for me, it's the thing. Yeah.
So did your parents play and that's how you were sort of brought up? When was the first time you had a racket in your hand?
Uh, I began to play tennis, but only for a month because I had an injury in my back when I was little. So the doctor said that I cannot do this type of sport. And then my father began to play with his friends in the club where we used to go to for the weekends. And I love paddle at the first time. So my paddle bought a mini pala, like it's
Small rackets, yeah.
yeah, a small racket, and I used to play with the wall outside the court. Yeah, only me with yeah.
Waiting for Papa.
Yes, for sure. And then my father realized that I want to play more, so he searched for a paddle club, and then all the family began to do paddle lessons there.
And then one day you beat your father.
Yeah, yeah. No, I began to play when I was 9. So we did paddle lessons during week, and then in the weekends used to play together with my parents. But after I think no say a couple years, we cannot play together because yeah.
Well, one of the funny things people talk about paddle is a great hookup, for romance and meeting new people. And the
Yeah.
thing I always say is, well, as soon as you've met, don't play together anymore.
Why?
Well, because it oftentimes husbands and wives and
Yeah.
boyfriends and girlfriends and
They
it's
are
not
gay. Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I like to play with my parents, but yes, we have another kind of argument maybe sometimes when we play, but it's different because between couples is different than between father or
And
mother,
daughter.
parents and the kid. Yeah, it's a little
Por
bit.
supuesto, of course. So you picked it up at 9, and then when did you decide to go pro? What was that decision like? And how much of that was really a function of the tours being profitable, or at least you can make enough money?
Well, when I was 9, I began to do lessons, and after a year, I began to compete because in this club there were another kids who compete. So I'm competing like for many years, and I train like a professional since I was maybe 16 years. For all time, I know that I want to do professional, but it was difficult because when I was 18 and we just go to the professional tour, the paddle was not the thing that is today. So I studied biochemistry since 2013 to 2019. For 6 years, I did both things, paddle and
Studies.
university. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I realized that I can do it, but when you are a female player, the money is very different than the male, and you depend on your result. So it's a little bit difficult. I'm very lucky because my family could support me during these years. But I think it's in this time of my decision, it was very difficult. Maybe today the young players have more opportunities to do the way easier than me.
And presumably they have more good role models as
Yeah.
well, because they're seeing you on television or,
Yes.
so that helps to inspire
Yeah.
the youth.
Yeah.
So the issue I'm thinking of is you come into it is I want to be pro, okay, but I'm not ranked yet in the top 20 or 30. And it seems to me that until you are, it really isn't easy to make money and profitably anyway, pay all your coaches, all the teams and everything.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a leap of faith that allows you to say, I'm going to go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
What do you think made for your success, Marta?
Well, I remember that when I was young, I won a lot of tournaments in junior categories like Spanish Championship, World Cup. So it was difficult to understand why when I was playing my first time or my first years in Pro Tour, I couldn't win matches. So for me, it was a difficult transition because I used to win all my matches and then no. So it was difficult, but I think it's very important the people are around you because they have to accompany and it's difficult to explain in English, but I will try. They have to know where you want, but it's difficult because maybe sometimes the parents want more than the kid,
Right,
so
of course.
it's
And
important
to know
where
what you want inside you
yes,
and
that's the
what
idea.
they want and project onto
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have any words you want to say in Spanish, I probably will be able to translate quickly. But it feels like the other question or thought I was going through my mind is how sometimes as a parent, you let your kid win, right? Oh, because you're tiny and I'm older.
Yeah.
Oh, muy bien, you're fantastic, But then when you get into the competition where the other person doesn't just let you win, it can be hard. So coming in, having always won, I'm not saying your father always let you win, but having always won, it must be difficult then to deal with, oh, shoot, I lost again.
Yeah. It's important to make important not the win or the loss, the way you are doing. If you are improving, if you are enjoying what you are doing, because this year is my 10th year in the Pro Tour, so there were a lot of good years with good results, good seasons, and others no. So at the end of the season, I want to know if I'm improving, because sometimes there are many things that not depend on you.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So if you are doing a good development of your playing, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you lose.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your game, Marta. You play on the right with Ksenia at the moment. And playing on the right at some level is a benefit because there are more people always saying they want to play on the left, the stronger players. But being a great right player is something that surely is in high demand. Makes for a great right, typical, a right-handed right player as opposed to lefty.
Yeah. For me, playing the right side is very difficult. It's more difficult than the left side because you don't have a lot of space to play, and if you should play always where you should play. It's difficult because if you do a mistake, all the match it will go
Badly.
yes, because in the left side I think you have more options. You can play cross to the middle or into parallel is no
Yeah, down the
okay
line, parallel. Yep.
yeah, but in the right side you maybe cross you can play, but very for to the middle to the court and very tight. But it depends on your partner. It depends on if you are defending or you are in the net. So I think it's difficult for that because you have less options and you have to be very accurate, like
Yep.
very
Yep.
precise. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I like the way you describe that. I play right as well most of the time when I'm playing with good players.
Mm.
And it's a role where you typically have a lesser workload, but you have to be the one who can help your left-sided player win.
Yes.
So in that regard, you don't get all the glory.
Yeah.
You don't get the big shots.
Yeah.
You don't get to do la magia.
Yeah.
You're just got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
You got to be a soldier
Yeah.
and accurate. And what about the communication and the choice of partner? How important has that been for you? I talked, of course, with Ksenia about it, but for you, when you're thinking of the right partner for you, what's going on in your mind?
For me, is the most difficult part of paddle, the partner. I think it's different between male and female. I think in female, or in my opinion, is same important to play like paddle play good with your partner, but also I need to understand out of the court with my partner. With Xenia, I'm very happy because we had a very great time out of the court. It's not you should be friends or not, but it's okay. But if you understand and you can we have a very a long time together during tournaments and a lot of free time. So if you are not like a gusto with your, if you're not having a
Compatible
yes
and
yes
going well. Yeah.
yes, you I need to have connection with the other player.
And do you think that is something that's more relevant for women players than men players?
Yes, I think male has another way of como it's like they did different lives and then play together and it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but it's, let's say it's better that it comes from you than it does from me, because I think we are different, and how we mesh our relationships, how we communicate, and how important it is to understand the emotions of each other,
Yeah.
not just, oh, I'm playing well.
Yeah, I think female players are more emotional than or more sensitive than the boys, so it's a big difference for me.
And what about your favorite shot, Marta? Playing on the right, what do you say is your like, this is my favorite. I love playing this one.
I'm very aggressive, so I like to be in the net. I like to do víboras and volleys to put pressure on the opponent. But I'm also love defending. But I want, it's not only defending like do a good lob or a good shot near to the net. I like to search for how can I put in difficulties for the opponent. So I want to search like how to manage and how to my partner can do a good shot. So it's like a complete tactical game. So I want to prepare. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about, so, I mean, you have a very complete game. I've watched you, and I like the fact that you say you're being aggressive, because we typically say that's all the role of the person on the left. But, you know, you see, I think paddle has evolved a lot over the years.
Yes.
And even some of the strokes you can sometimes do. And the fact is that the right, even a right-handed player on the right, even though they have less sort of margin of choices when you're hitting from the right-hand side. But what about a shot you're working on that you say, I would like to really get better at that? Is there one that you are working on these days a lot?
Well, I'm very demanding with myself, so I want to improve all the time. But I think my technique is very good. So I'm working on decision making and how to manage the speed of the ball, because I usually play like too fast, and I think it's not it was not good for me. And this year, with my new team, I'm working on that, and I feel very comfortable with my new way of playing right now.
Nice.
I play a little bit softer, and I think it's good for me. Yeah.
A little bit few more
Yes.
chiquitas, a little bit
Yes,
slower to the deep.
it's like I'm trying to be more precise, so I need to play a little bit softer. And with this type of playing, I'm realizing that I can do better my work as right player, and my partner can do better together.
All right, so just to lean into that idea of playing softer, does that mean when you're technically working, are you trying to have better depth, you know, into the court? So you're trying to hit the ball, you're hitting it softer, but you want it to land in a different place on the court because of you hitting it softer. Because I mean, I for example, when I'm playing on the right, and I take a shot off the back wall, and I sort of sneakily go cross court down into the right hand side of the right hand player into that space. I may get it by them, but because it's going slowly, they get it.
Yeah.
They can go back and pick it up, but it's a more difficult pickup than had I just done a regular shot to the volley. So I have to think of, all right, well, they're going to get it. That's okay, because I'm hitting it slower. But I'm trying to make one more difficult shot rather than make a winner out of the shots.
Yeah.
How do you describe hitting softer, slower? What does that look like materially for a player?
For me, an example for me, I like to do hard víboras, but when the lob is good, very good, like near the line or a little bit backwards, I used to do a hard víbora and too fast, so I have no time to recover
Back to the net.
Yes. So now I'm doing like with this type of lobs, I'm doing bandeja, more flat.
Yeah.
And then softer, slower, and sometimes a little bit not too near to the net. So like
higher above the net. So
yes,
the risk is less.
The shot is not too good, like a hard víbora, but I have time enough to go to the net, and maybe if the opponent do play low, I can do a good volley because I'm in the right place. If I play a hard víbora and I have no time, maybe the low shot, I'm in the middle of the court and I cannot do a good volley. So that's the point.
And yet, when you're doing a bandeja, let's say that it's at the service line, you do a bandeja to come back, you still need to penetrate enough. Because, you know, if they're rushing up on a bandeja, it's easier to cut off than a hard bajada or
Yes.
Or if you, so you need to penetrate. It goes higher across the net, but it needs to be through to give you the time to go in. Otherwise, if they're in on it and it's too short, for example,
yeah, it's
then you're in
important
trouble.
the depth of the ball. You this type of bandeja I'm explaining is you the bandeja should bound near the wall.
The service, near the wall, not even near
the
the
wall,
service
yeah.
line.
Yeah,
Behind the service line.
behind the service lines, yeah, for sure. But if it's near the wall, it's better.
Right. Well,
You
I'm
need
just saying
time,
that.
so
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of us aren't that accurate. So it's interesting to hear from a pro what they're aiming for. Like, I say when I'm coaching for lobs, every lob, or at least 90% of lobs, should be between the service line and the base wall, but not too close to the back wall because it comes off too hard for the bajada.
yes.
So, but that's what I say, but I don't always execute like you. All right, listen. What about like the day in the life of a pro? Talking about, let's say right now you're in between tournaments. What does a day in the life of a pro at your level with such a team? What does it look like? Give us an idea.
Yeah, I used to play in the mornings. I used to train in the mornings, paddle and gym. Sometimes we do a double session of paddle, but it depends on the schedule and the coach idea. And then in the afternoon, we used to do more physio than in the tournaments sometimes. And then all the other things, psycho, nutritionist, normal life
As well.
things.
Hopefully.
Yeah. The problem when we are in the tournaments that we are abroad, so all the things that the normal people do in their daily life, we have to do only in a week or 2 weeks that we are in our home. So maybe when I was in my house, I have a lot of things to do all the day with different activities. Sometimes paddle and sometimes other things. Yeah.
Like family.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, nutritionist.
Mhm.
You talk with your nutritionist. I'm a type 1 diabetic, for example. So I have to think a lot, like Alejandro Luis or others. How do I eat? What am I eating? We all think about that somehow. But what does it look like for you? Are you talking vitamins? Are you talking more? You want to make sure you have more pasta before a match, or you need to have more vegetables, your Brussels sprouts, and
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Well, my nutritionist gave me a competition routine. How can I eat when I'm in the competition? It depends on if the match is in the morning or in the afternoon. So the day before, the after the match. So this a thing. And then we are trying to improve my corporal composition because the idea is to have less fat and more muscle. So I have to. It's not like to do a strict diet. So I need to learn how to do it in a good way. And during tournaments, sometimes it's a little bit difficult because the food it depends on the hotel or the organization.
Right.
And yeah, when we are in home, it's very easy because you go to the supermarket and you organize all your diet.
You're in control.
Yes, but that's the point because sometimes now in my case I'm in a good physical condition. I'm feeling very good in the court, like very fast and recovering the net and then moving faster than at the beginning of the season. But my composition now is it's worse than at the beginning of the season. So it depends on the emotional thing always, because
Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
only physical, it's the person. Yeah.
Well, and including stress, for example. I
Yes,
mean,
yes, for
to what
sure.
extent you're feeling
Yes.
stress, that changes the way your body's digesting and things
Yes.
like that. So, in the challenging things you have, often players will have an individual coach. My
Yes.
preferred coach is this, and my coach, I train with that person. And then when you come to the match, both come, but with two coaches.
Yes.
How does a team decide that? What are the I mean, because I know a few coaches, I have a few friends, but it always strikes me as a really complicated thing to do.
Yeah, I think the best option is to have the same team for all, the same coach uh, for both players, but it depends on the player. For in our case, I'm living in Madrid and Xenia is living in Valencia, so it's very difficult to have the same coach. We are trying to go to Valencia and Madrid to play together before tournaments, but it's not only sometimes it's not easier because it depends on the schedule, and the player need to rest in our houses, so we need to take time apart, because during tournaments we are together all the time. It's yeah,
24/7.
yeah.
Last question before we get into what you're doing at the board, is when you got a pro tournament, let's say you're in some city and you know you have a match, what does Marta do to prepare for that match? And when do you warm up? When do you start thinking about this? Do you have a routine? You listen to some music? What do you do to get ready for your match?
Yeah, we used to prepare the match with the coach. For example, if we are playing in the morning, we do the breakfast together, talking about the match. Then we take our things and then go to the venue. And I like to hear music during warm up, and then go to the court. I don't really like to do many things. Sometimes if we know the opponents the day before go to the bed, I like to do visualizations, like if we talk about the tactical plan for the match. I like to imagine different situations, but it depends on the knowledge about the others, because sometimes you
Sure.
play against people who never play. So this,
Especially in your early rounds.
yes, for sure. This is my routine. I'm very simple with this type of things. I'm very like relaxed with this because I'm competing like too many years now. I'm used to this type of situations.
But do you have a specific music you like to listen to? Is it upbeat? Is it a singer, a song, or just a
Yeah, I
channel?
like to hear reggaeton and techno. So it depends on the day, on
Uh,
my feelings this day. I have a playlist and I play my
uh,
favorite songs of the months. Yeah.
so you have a pre-game playlist?
Not a pregame. I have a playlist. Like
Yeah,
when I heard a song that I like, I add it to
like it.
the playlist, and then I have a playlist like 100 songs,
Hmm.
songs
Yeah,
that no sé, 2000 and
yeah,
2025. So it depends the day. Yeah.
yeah. Beautiful. All right, listen, Marta, talk to us about your role now as a member of the board of directors. When did that happen, and what does that entail for you? Because that surely adds to your workload.
Yeah, bueno, we began to work like only players, because we knew that we need to do a work together, all the players. We began to work, Nuria Rodriguez, Delphi Brea, and I. like the first members. And when Premier Padel was presenting the new project, we felt that we need to add some advisors. So we are 7 players and 2 advisors working together, and we are trying to to help the players to manage all the situations, like difficult situations during tournaments and difficult situations that they had in their daily lives, sport daily lives. So we are trying to help in whole like sport things. Yeah.
And do you, I'm sure with Delphi and Nuria, you're also talking about what you are trying to achieve as players on this board. I mean, as in things like pay, conditions for the players. So how do you organize that? And to what extent are you able to have everybody's opinion? Because I'm sure one person says, well, I want this much, and another person says this much, and I want these conditions and those conditions. And so you have a lot of different cats, that we like to say in English, cats to her.
Yeah, this is a hard work. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Nuria and I, we are competing, like she played also in junior categories with me. So we have a same career. So we know that it's very difficult to be professional. In my case, as I said before, I was studying and playing at the same time, and Nuria was working, like doing lessons for people at the same time competing, and this is very hard. So we know that the female players did a great effort to be where we are today, with a personal effort, because in these years we don't have many opportunities. We didn't have enough money to do it, so it was a personal effort, each one, like the number 1 and the number 15. O sea, I think the gemelas or Lucia Sainz, when they were number 1s, they didn't have the prize money, like
Sure.
so in this side, all the female players are very como de acuerdo, como lo dirías.
Agree.
Yeah, they agree that we need to work together to fight for the equality, not only in prize money, only in opportunities, because we did a great effort. So we have well, we are very lucky because we have 2 advisors, Maria Teixidor and Luis Yelaber, that they help us a lot. Maria had a career in Barcelona, in Football Club Barcelona. So we developed the female project in Barça. So, and then Barça is the top team in football, so in female football. So we are very lucky to have they with us, and they support us in this type of situation that we didn't know how to manage. Right. So we have a WhatsApp group for all the IEPPA associated players, and we discuss a lot of things. There are things that we discuss with all the players, and there are another things that we discuss only in the board. So it depends on the things. But I think all the players are very comfortable with this situation. They trust on the board. So, and I think we are doing a great job. So, yes.
Cool. I hope everybody agrees. But one of the challenges is you obviously, I'm imagining with Delphi and Nuria, of course, speaking Spanish. One of the challenges for paddle in general is getting it out. so that one day your board is actually with a Swedish woman and of course, in
Yes.
Italian, but where the other language might be English,
Yeah.
as opposed to, because what it feels like today still, Marta, is that we are Argentinas and Españoles and Hispanofones, even if you're,
Yes.
like if you're Carolina Orsi or you're Ksenia,
Yeah.
everybody speaks Spanish. That's the el idioma del padel. But in order for paddle to get to the next level, it does feel like we need to get into having other flags, other,
Yes.
countries and languages coming in. To what extent is that a conversation that you guys have?
Yeah, I think that's the point, that the padel needs to grow in the whole world, but I think it's a slow thing, because you need to do some things before you have professional players. I'm explaining, like, you need to grow paddle base, like kids paddle, and
School
to
systems.
have a good coach with experience. So it's a process. Mariano Amat, it was my coach during a lot of years, one of the best coach I ever had, Galan's coach. He is in Qatar with this type of process. He's coaching, he's training kids in Qatar. So maybe he needs I don't know, 10 years to have Qatari player who will have the level to compete in professional circuits. So it's a long process, but I think we are doing this. I think FIP has a good opportunity to put paddle where paddle deserves, but it's a long way. Yeah.
The shortcut, but this is me saying it, not you, is buy some Spanish people and bring them in.
Yeah.
That's another way. But one of the things we talk about, Marta, in the amateur world, my life, is when we're watching the pros level. Of course, most paddle players today still don't watch pros. They just prefer to play, which, unlike football or tennis, more
Yes.
people watch than play. And one of the things I say to my men friends, we're all old people running around, is watch the women's paddle, because
Yeah.
it's more realistic for us.
Mm.
And I'm always doing that, because I can see how you guys don't hit the ball out of the court as frequently as the boys. You have a different strength. We're different.
Yeah.
Yet the challenge is somehow, of course, the men are getting paid more, or that's the general issue. And the game is sometimes can be very slow, especially if you're on a slow court. So you have these long points, lots and lots of lobs.
Yeah.
So where's the conversation happening with you guys about that? Are you concerned about that, or are you thinking about changes, or you're like, well, that's how we are, let's stay that way?
Bueno, in my opinion, paddle is this thing is now nobody is thinking that female football players should play like shorter matches. So
Right.
I think in paddle is the same. We are different, as you said. We have different ways of play, and different is not bad.
Right, absolutely. Thank goodness we're
So
different.
yeah, I think in male paddle is very physical. It's very difficult to find a hold in the court, so they need to play out of the court because they don't have enough space.
The
They
best
are
holes are out the court.
yeah. It's really difficult, the thing that they are no sé, they are taller than us, they are
Yeah, of course.
strong than us, so it's stronger than us, is different, but they need to be like physical at the 100% to compete at this level. Maybe in female is physical is always
Of course.
important, but our way of manage our mental thing is, I think, most important. We need to be more patient, to have more patience, to be more constant, because the points are longer than
Longer.
Yes, we need to be more concentrate because the games are longer. So
Right.
it's a different way of play. We don't need to be as precise as the boys, but we need to play more balls. So
Yeah.
it's different.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that notion of concentration. I'm
Yeah.
for people who are listening, think about this. You're actually having one of those 60-second points.
Yes.
This happens occasionally for amateurs.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, the ball's coming back again, and I have to play it. Oh my God, I don't want to be the one who screws up.
Yes.
Oh no, oh, you
Yes.
just got to get it back. Oh, just got to get it back. And that can become so difficult.
Yes.
The net all of a sudden starts getting
Yeah.
taller, ball starts getting smaller, and the racket starts getting smaller and harder. And even though it's, of course, the same net, same ball, same racket, it's so difficult to keep that concentration and that energy and the decision making as the point gets longer and longer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the main difference, the time of the points, because it's impossible to be 100% concentrate all the points, all the match is. So the way you manage this ups and downs is the different. The number ones are the best in this.
Right, so that's a message to everyone who's listening. All right, continue on. Listen, Marta, been great having you on. In one word or one sentence, what do you think is the future of the women's paddle circuit, professional paddle circuit?
Well, it's a difficult question. Yeah, I think we should to continue fighting for what we want, because we deserve it. As I said before, we fight a lot in the past to be here, and we need to continue fighting against the people who didn't want to we didn't want us, but I think female paddle deserve it. Yeah.
Well, I certainly agree with you, Marta. I think you and I totally understand how the world is working
Yeah.
and the ownership and all that. So it's going to be a good old fight. Wherever I can be of any help, you let me know, Marta. And hopefully one day I'll get to see you on the court, shake your hand, and keep on good success as you go forward with both your work representing women on the paddle and in your paddle professional. Marta, hasta luego. Vamos. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.